की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to this morning's special Ram Navami lead-up class on Srimad Bhagavatam. We are very fortunate and happy to have with us today Leela Shakti Mataji. Very much welcome to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Mataji is an expert in the Ramayana, so who better to give a class for this Ram Navami lead-up? And without further delay, I would really like to give it over to you, Hare Krishna Mataji. I will put up the verse and you could start from there.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I feel fortunate that I am able to talk today a little bit about Lord Ram, because tomorrow is Ram Navami. And equally, I feel quite inadequate because personality like Lord Ramachandra, it's not very easy to talk about. And I'm quite anxious, I must say. But by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and devotees, I will try my best. And I seek blessings of the devotees assembled at the manor and online. And I personally seek blessings from Srila Prabhupada and my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Chandramuli Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vanchakalpa tarubhascha kripa sindhubhai evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 10th chapter. The slok number is 15. Kamam priyahi jahi vishravasovameham Trailokya ravanam vapnuhi virapatnim Buddhi bandhihi setumihate yasaso vitatye Gayanti dik vijayinoyam upetya bhuta. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My Lord, you may use my water as you like. Indeed, you may cross it and go to the abode of Ravana, who is the great source of disturbance and crying for the three worlds. He is the son of Visrava, but is condemned like urine. And the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation, yes. O all-pervading Sorry, I'm reading another sloka here. Yeah. Oh Lord, you may use my water as you like. Indeed, you may cross it and go to the abode of Ravana, who is the great source of disturbance and crying for the three worlds. He is the son of Vishwava, but is condemned like urine. Please go, kill him, and thus regain your wife, Sita Devi. O great hero, although my water presents no impediment to your going to Lanka, please construct a bridge over it to spread your transcendental fame. Upon seeing this wonderfully uncommon deed of your lordship, all the great heroes and the kings in the future will glorify you. Report by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that a sun and urine emanate from the same source, the genitals. When a son is a devotee or a great learned person, the seminal discharge for begetting a son is successful. But if the son is unqualified and brings no glory to his family, he is no better than urine. Here, Ravana is compared to urine because he was a cause of disturbance to the three worlds. Thus, the ocean personified wanted him killed by Lord Ramachandra. One feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, is omnipotence. The Lord can act without regard to material impediments or inconvenience. But to prove that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and was not merely advertised as Godhead or elected by popular vote, he constructed a wonderful bridge over the ocean. Nowadays, it has become fashionable to create some artificial god who performs no uncommon activities. A little magic will bewilder a foolish person into selecting an artificial god because he does not understand how powerful God is. Lord Ramachandra, however, constructed a bridge over the water with stones by making the stone float. This is proof of God's uncommonly wonderful power. Why should someone be accepted as God without displaying extraordinary potency by doing something never to be done by any common man? We accept Lord Ramachandra as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he constructed this bridge, and we accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he lifted Govardhan Hill when he was merely 7 years old. We should not accept any rascal as God or an incarnation of God, for God displays special features in his various activities. Therefore, Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma chame divyam eva iti tatvita Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamati so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. The activities of the Lord are not common. They are all transcendentally wonderful and not able to be performed by any other living being. The symptoms of the Lord's activities are all mentioned in the Shastras, and after one understands them, one can accept the Lord as he is. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopise Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. Samved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. This slok, I find it very interesting because here Srila Prabhupada is making several points, and which I would go through systematically. But in this slok, what my understanding is that the demigod, the devata of Sagar, whose name is Ratnakar, he is named Ratnakar. He came to Lord Ram and he is saying that Ravan is like urine, is considered to be a urine, and go and kill him and again bring your wife back, Mother Sita back. When I was reading this, I refer back to Ramayana, and it made me realize that it took Lord Ram 3 days for Sagar, for the ocean to appear in person to Lord Ram. So he is big, he's vast, and he's powerful. So he was not going to come to Lord Ram thinking that who is he? He's some human. He's come with all these monkeys and he wants to see me and I'm not going to bow down to him. And when Lord Ram looked at the ocean with that anger in his eyes, all the animals in the oceans became distressed. And at that time, Ratnakar realized the supremacy of Lord Ram, and he appeared in front of Lord Ram. And it's quite amazing for him to say that Ravan is considered as urine, because just earlier on, he was not accepting supremacy of Lord Ram. equally in Ramayana, in Kishkindakand, in Ramcharitmanas, in Kishkindakand. There is a part, there is a little episode where when Lord Ramachandra met Hanumanji, and when Hanumanji took Lord Ram and Lakshman to Sugriv, because Sugriv was in distress condition because of Vali. And Ram killed Vali, and Sugriv was back onto his kingdom, and he started enjoying. And he promised Ram that, Prabhu, if you help me to regain my kingdom, I will help you to look for Mother Sita. But in material world, it is always easy to make several promises to the Lord when we are distressed. But as soon as that darkness of distress goes and the light of happiness appear in one's life, that promise is forgotten. Like we as a Jivatma, how many promises we have made to the Lord when we were in our mother's womb. But as soon as the child takes birth, the promises are forgotten. And here, Vali, after killing Vali, Sugriv became so engrossed in his enjoyment that he forgot the promise given to Ram. And in Ramayana, in this Ramcharitmanas, there is a little chopai that I would like to sing. So it says that Barashagata Niramala Ritu Ai Sudina Tata Sita Ke Pai Ek baar kai se ho sudhi jana Kala ho jitini mishamanumana Sugarivahu sudhi mori bisari Pava raja Kosapuri nari. So here Lord Ramachandra is thinking in his mind that Barasha Gatan Niramalaritu, that the whole atmosphere has changed. From summer it has come winter, the winter has gone, now Sharad-rutu is here. And this Sugriv, he has forgotten the promise he has given me. Since he's got his kingdom and his wife Tara back, he's forgotten promise that he's given. But at this time, before Lord Ram acted on his thoughts, Ram was getting a bit agitated. But before he could act on how he was thinking, here Hanumanji, because Hanumanji, Ram's devout devotee, devout bhakta, he realized Ram's anger. He realized Ram's anguish. And at that time, there is another little chopai which says, Iha Hanumanta Hridayahi Bichara Rama Kaja Sugarivahi Bisara Charana Jai Nikata Jai Charana Sirunava Chari Ubidite Kahi Samajava. So the meaning of this chopai is that here Hanumanji realized Lord Ram is getting a bit agitated. So what did he do? He is a Vaishnava, he is a Sant, he is a great devotee of Lord Ram. So he went to Sugriv. And because Hanumanji is the minister in Sugriv's kingdom and Sugriv is the king, he couldn't go and just tell him straight away. So he went and he, first of all, he bowed down to the feet of Sugriv and gave him 4 different ways, told him 4 different ways of Ram, the supremacy of Lord Ram. And they, the list are, first of all, he said how beautiful Ram is. Kandar Pakoti Kamaniya Visesa Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ram is equally amazingly handsome, amazingly beautiful. So he described Ram's beauty. Then he described Ram's softness, Ram's character, Ram's persona. And the third thing, he described that, look, although he is beautiful, his persona is gentle, but don't forget, he carries bow and arrow in his with him, and he is the prince of Ayodhya. And then he told Sugriv that he himself is the supreme personality of Godhead. If you don't fulfill your promise, and if he becomes angry with you, then not even I will be able to help you. And at that point, Sugriv woke up. He shook himself and he was up from his sleep, which he was drowned into. So for us human beings, we are sleeping in the dark of enjoyment, all that. And a personality like Srila Prabhupada would come and wake us up and say, wake up, Jiva Jago, wake up from this sleep and make something of your life. Go back to where you belong to. And that's here, that's where we belong to. So Ram's glancing over ocean was sufficient enough for ocean to appear. And he specifically asked Ram to go and kill Ravan. Now, Ravan is called an Atatai because Atatai means that he is the aggressor. In Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, slok number 36, Srila Prabhupada says in his purport that there are 6 aggressors can be killed without worrying. And the list is the one who gives poison, the one who sets fire in somebody's house, the one who attacks with deadly weapon, the one who plunders riches, and the one who occupies somebody's land. And this one fits Ravan perfectly, that the one who kidnaps somebody's wife. So here Ravan is considered Atatai, and he is said that he's compared to urine. Although Ravan is a son of Vishravasa, and he is a Brahman by birth, Ravan is a Brahman, but his quality is not of a Brahman. He doesn't have that quality. He still was very proud of himself, very mine and I. He wanted to conquer the world. Nobody could defeat him. He wanted to bring Kailash to Lanka. and he couldn't. So here Ravan's mentality is very degraded. Although he was a Vedanti, he knew the Vedanta Sutra, but that did not stop him with his mentality, which we all have: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Ahankar. And how we use it, that is up to us. And here Ravan was not using those in a noble way. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, I would like to quote 5th canto, 5th chapter, and the 18th verse, which is Rishabdev is guiding his 100 sons, giving them instructions. And the slok says that Gurun syat svajano nasa syat, pita nasa syat, janani nasa syat, daivam na tasyatra patischa syat, mochayata samupetam mrutyam. Now, this slok, in this slok, Vrishabhadev is saying to his 100 sons that the one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. Very powerful, isn't it? When we read about this, it scares us. Actually, it scared me when I read this sloka, that we are living in such an age that to train children in this material world is extremely difficult. In my time, when I was growing up, I would like to talk a little bit about me. In my time, we didn't have television. We didn't have all these gadgets. We didn't have iPads. We had nothing, actually. There was only one radio in one household. And even then, that were only times: in the morning, couple of hours, in the afternoon, and in the evening. And our parents were more interested in the news. So we didn't have all the gadgets. So what did we do? In the evening, after evening prasadam, there was nothing much to do after prasadam in bedtime. So generally people would get together from neighborhood and people would read Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, or sing bhajans. So that was how our time was spent as childhood. I remember fondly. And that's where I learned Ramayana, because in our household, we used to read Ramayana regularly. And in those times, even the names that were given to the children were spiritual names. My father's name was Ramaji. My uncle's name was Lakshman. My other uncle's name was Devaji. So my mother-in-law's name was Nandakuvar. So all these, when you call them, you are literally calling the name of the Lordship. And there is a famous story, very famous story in Bhagavatam about Ajamil, that he was not calling his son. He was not calling Lord Narayan. He was calling his son. But for him, the Vishnu Dutas appeared, and that bewildered Yamadutas. And they went to question Yamaraj that what is going on? This sinful man, all these divine personalities came for him. And at that time, Yamaraj talked to his Yamadutas about the 12 Mahajans. And it really puts life in perspective, that by giving names, certain names to the children, the parents and our surrounding people are benefiting. But today, they call them Tinky, Minky, Pinku. God knows what sort of names people come up with. Sometimes when they phone and say, Mataji, we have called our child this. I think, what do you mean? Somebody called me recently and said they have called their child a Monique. And I looked up what is the Monique, the name Monique, and I couldn't find out the name Monique. So I called somebody in Vrindavan and said, what does Monique mean? And they said it means snot in the nose. People, when they give name without thinking, this is what happens. So we are very fortunate. We are very, very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada is given us names like we are the Das and Dasi of certain personality. And when you meditate on that, that gives us a hope that we will achieve, if not in this lifetime, in one lifetime, we will be able to go, because we all are on the road to Golok Dham. We are on the road. We are on M1 and we will reach there. Even if we will stop somewhere for some snack or some rest, but our journey has started. So Srila Prabhupada makes another point here about Ram's supremacy. And he says that Lord Ramachandra, he was asked by Ratnakar to build this huge bridge, and it was 800 miles. It's not 800 miles due to the changes in the earth over the yugas and over the years. And it took 5 days to build that bridge. So isn't that amazing? Can we put a stone in the water and make it float? We haven't got capability to do that, but Lord Ram built that bridge. And here the Sagar himself is saying that when you will build that bridge, Lord Ram, in time, great personalities and great kings will remember you, will think about you. And today we meet people and they would say it's not possible. But from NASA, they can see that bridge. And it's not a miracle. Lord Ram did build that bridge. There are few stories about when Ram was building the bridge I would like to share. So one is a little spider. When the bridge was being built, they were bringing huge stones. Sometimes they were bringing small mountains and they were putting them Ram, and the mountains and big stones were thrown in the sea. And the build was being bridged like the bridge was being built like that. And there were thousands of monkeys, thousands of bears, and they were all helping Lord Ram. So little spider was watching that, all these people, they are helping the Lord. So he went to the ocean, put his body in the ocean, and then came on the shore, took some sand, and he was putting in between the stones. And Hanumanji and other big monkeys, they were watching this. And they were going, oh, little spider, what this little spider is going to do? How much can he help? And Ram called Hanumanji and said, Hanumanji, you are very powerful. You are Keshari Nandan. You are the son of Vayu. You are extremely powerful. You are doing my service according to your capability, your strength. But this little spider is doing according to its strength. So the quantity might be different, but the quality is the same. And equally, there was a little squirrel there. And the squirrel was doing the same. Going to the sea, rubbing the body, wetting the body, coming back to the shore, rolling in the sand, and going to the stone and shaking the body so that the sand would fall in between two stones. And Lord Ram was looking at that, and Lord Ram was so pleased. But again, other monkeys like Angad and Neil and all, they were really saying like this, go away, you are in our way. Don't you see? We are doing this service and you are just disturbing us. Lord Ram called the squirrel, and Lord Ram put his 2 fingers on squirrel and went like this and said, as long as the sun and the moon and the stars will be shining, as long as the creation will be there, and as long as you as a squirrel will be in this material world, these 2 fingers, these 2 fingers will always remain on your body. And this is the marking of your service to me to go and fight Ravan. So when we look at squirrel, and when you'll see next time that these 2 marking, you remember this story, and that is Lord Ram's 2 fingers. So the realization I have from this is that Ram's Bhakta Vatsal here, Ram's Bhakta Vatsalya, how Karunanidhan, how merciful, the ocean of mercy Lord Ram is. And Ram and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not seeing our wealth, our knowledge, our ability. He's seeing our endeavor, because people can do whatever they can do. And again, going back into Srimad Bhagavatam, Gajendra only offered a little flower to the Lord, and Lord appeared, because that flower was offered with love. And here Srila Prabhupada is always saying that do devotional service. Srila Prabhupada has not said just do service to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada has said do devotional service, perform devotional service. So whenever we do any service, doesn't matter which service we do, and if we do it with devotion, then Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, Lord Nrsingadev, Lord Varahadev, Srila Prabhupada, our whole our Guru Parampara, they will acknowledge that. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, just all these 3 things you give me, and I will be satisfied. So here, squirrel and spider, the lesson is to be learned that size, ability is not that important, but the endeavor is important. And Srila Prabhupada talks about Krishna lifting Govardhan hill with his little finger when he was merely 7 years of age. Can anybody do that in this time? And again, Srila Prabhupada is saying that be careful about cheaters. And Prabhupada is very, very specific about that. That don't take anybody lightly as God. Just because somebody comes and turns some ashes into gold or some little magic show, and we start thinking of them as God. Unfortunately, in India, there are every few years a personality would appear and claim to be God. And Srila Prabhupada says that rascals, the murak, people with low intelligence will be trapped in their clutches. And the whole makeup of Srimad Bhagavatam, the scriptural knowledge, the education of scriptures becomes diluted. And one has to be extremely careful with when we are dealing with people like that. Some magic show doesn't make anybody a god. And there is a story, I forget where I have read or heard, but I specifically remember that once when Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and there was a PC Sarkar, and he was a magician. So he came and he wanted to perform in front of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada said yes. And he performed a lot of magic shows. I'm taking a handkerchief from here. I don't know what he performed, but a lot of magic show went on. And Srila Prabhupada was laughing. Srila Prabhupada was laughing throughout the show and quite happy watching that show. And when the show was finished, and Srila Prabhupada sent for PC Sarkar and called him to him. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada was very happy and he came. And Srila Prabhupada asked him that was amazing what you performed. This magic show was quite amazed. I'm amazed by this. But I have one thing to ask you. Can you do the magic show? Can you perform to stop birth, death, old age, and all that? Can you do some sort of a magic so that can be avoided? So PC Sarkar laughed and said, Srila Prabhupada, that magic show I am not capable of doing. What I do is illusion. This is not real magic show. I do illusion. But this magic show, only you can do it, Srila Prabhupada. Only you can do this magic show, Srila Prabhupada. Only you are capable of delivering people from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. So from here, we have to be really thankful to Srila Prabhupada that actually he has given us a ticket. He has given us quite a few things. Srila Prabhupada has built a bridge for us to go back to where we come from. Like Lord Ramachandra, he's already there. He's already just on the shore. Between Ravan and Ram, between Mother Sita and Ram, It's only that ocean and the bridge is being built. But here, Srila Prabhupada has already built a bridge. And that bridge is of maha-mantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the tool to build that bridge, and Srila Prabhupada has built it. We have to walk on that bridge by saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If we chant our rounds properly, if we do our devotional service properly, and if we follow on the footsteps of our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada is mercifully saying that I will make sure that you come back to Krishna. So the whole world is aware of maha-mantra. By whose mercy? 60, 70 years ago, who knew maha-mantra? I didn't know 70 years ago. But Srila Prabhupada, being so kind, so merciful, being the Shakti Vesha avatar, he was empowered to go and change people like myself and many, many who had no idea about the potency of this maha-mantra. So we are very, very fortunate. And the point Srila Prabhupada is making, the last point in his purport, he is saying that the one who goes through scriptures will understand the supremacy of Lord, and then the journey will begin. And equally in Sri Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 19, Krishna is telling Arjun that Arjun, bahunam janma ante jnanavan prabhatante vasudeva iti sarva iti so mahatma so durlabham. That hey Arjun, that bahunam janma ante jnanavan prabhatante. Bahunam means not only few janma. Bahunam means millions and millions of birth, after millions and millions of birth. Jnanavan prabhadante, someone who acquires that jnana. And what is this jnana? That Vasudeva iti. Vasudev is Sarvam iti. He is the only Lord and Master. That Mahatma, and Krishna himself calls that personality Mahatma. And those are rare. They are rare in this world. And by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we all have become fortunate. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Brahmananda Brahmete Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Kripa se paye Bhakti Lata Bij. So we all have got this Bhakti Lata Bij. Our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, has planted this seed in our hearts. Now it is up to us to nurture it. And how would we nurture it? By our promises that we have made to our Guru Maharaj, and by association of devotees, Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. These three, if we live in between these three, if we stay in between these three, then our safety is guaranteed in this Kali Yuga. I'm talking about myself. I may not be able to make it here in this lifetime because of so many anarthas. But one hope I have is that by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, I have a hope. Maybe in one lifetime, I will be able to go, and I will wait eagerly for that. So Lord Ram's mercy, tomorrow Lord Ram is appearing. And he appeared on the 9th day. So what is the significance of the number 9? Number 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After 9, there is no other number. Number 9 is the number of whole, because after number 9, it's 0, it's shunya. So in front of that shunya, if we put 1, because after 0, if we are, what are we? We are 0. We are considered nothing but a 0. What capability do we have? What knowledge do we have? We have nothing actually, but this 0 has some value. When that number 1 is Srila Prabhupada. When that number 1 comes here, that number 1 is our spiritual master. By him, by his mercy, this 0 has not some value, lot of value. All of a sudden, from nothing becomes 10. And then you add another 0, becomes 100. We add another 0, becomes 1,000. So just because of that 1, the quality of that 0 multiplies. So if we stay under the lotus feet of our spiritual master, under the lotus feet of all our Guru Parampara, all our ancestors, we have a great hope, because we are children of Srila Prabhupada. We are children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of Srila Prabhupada. So we have great hope. It is 8:30, and I have been asked to stop about 25 past 8, and I have taken 5 more minutes, for which I apologize. But this is like an ocean. How can we stop anywhere? Because the more I'm talking, the more I want to say. And I would come back to number 9. The number 9 is the whole number. Ram appeared tomorrow. Ram will appear tomorrow. And the lesson to be learned is that if we want to Lord Ram to enter into Lord Ram's pastime, we have to have this number 9. Number 9 is 9 folds of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and all that. And the last one is Atma Nivedanam, like Bali Maharaj. So if we go through that process, our safety is guaranteed. I would like to thank everybody, and may Lord Ram enter in our heart, because Srila Prabhupada has already given us a bridge. We have to walk on that bridge with Harinam, Sankirtan. We can chant, 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 and chant. 3 things Srila Prabhupada has said. You chant, you dance, and you take prasadam. Srila Prabhupada hasn't made life complicated for us. Srila Prabhupada has only given us these 3 things. You chant, dance, and take prasadam. And I have taken 2 instructions from Srila Prabhupada. Number 1 is chant, and another one is be happy. Be happy in any situation. Whatever situation Krishna gives. Marta spashtestu kinteya kunteya sitoshana sukhatukada agamapyaino nityastamastiti keshava bharata. So if we stay focused, if we stay balanced in whichever situation Krishna puts us in, then we can perform our sadhana with stable mind. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you. I do beg your forgiveness of any shortcomings or any offenses committed. I would like any comments or any criticism. I will be happy for questions. I don't feel inadequate. I don't feel that clever to answer questions, but I will try my best. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. That was very wonderful, Ram Katha. and really your enthusiasm came across time and space and will inspire us, I'm sure, to have a beautiful Ram Navami tomorrow. So we don't have any questions so far. We just got a lot of appreciation for you, Mother. Very nice. It's like a lot of appreciation, which is unusual, that the devotees are really happy and say that it was a very wonderful, inspiring class. So for me, I just was struck by when you were speaking about how back in the days when you were young, actually, there was no such a thing as TVs and cell phones and all these gadgets, and how people would actually just come together and read Ramayana and Srimad Bhagavatam. That's such a wonderful picture to have, and I really hope that I can live my life in that way sometime later. And I was just thinking when you spoke about the names that we have nowadays, the name of Elon Musk's child came to my mind, which I cannot even pronounce, but I will still try. He called his child XAEA12. So that's a name nowadays. So really the point that we can be so happy to get these names with the Das in the end, and we can aspire for that. And Srila Prabhupada made that possible for us. So maybe I could just think of one question about the promise. In the beginning, you were speaking about how it's so easy to make promises when we're suffering, but to actually keep the promises when we're happy is not so easy. So maybe just from your own life, do you have any reflections on that? How can we stick to our promises? And we know it's so important, especially to keep our promise to the spiritual master. So how can we keep these promises?
Actually, that's a very good question. Prabhu, thank you for asking, because in our life, during our life, how many promises have we made? Not only to spiritual master, but to so many. When we go to school, we make a promise. When we are growing up, we make so many promises. For me personally, the promise that I made to my spiritual master, by the mercy of devotees, we were able to carry on. There were many ups and downs in life. Life has thrown a lot of tsunamis, a lot of hurricane, but that promise was like a light that took us through the difficult times in life. But one particular promise I remember, and I remember it so vividly, even to today. And I speak about this promise to a lot of people. I was 18 years of age, and this was in Kenya. And my engagement was already performed. And in those days, it wasn't like today that boy and a girl find themselves and this is, I love you, you love me, and hey, Hari Bol. It was the arrangement from the parents. So my engagement was arranged. My husband to be, His Grace Brajnath Das, he was here in London. He was living here on his own. His parents were in Kenya, and his grandfather saw me, and he came with proposal, and my engagement took place. I hadn't seen him. He had not seen me. My parents had not seen him, but it was the trust of a word of an elderly person. So after my engagement, the exodus happened and we had to leave Kenya. So I had to come to England, but I wasn't on my own. My mother-in-law, all of us, my two brother-in-laws, my husband's auntie, we all were coming to London. And can you imagine my parents? They were sending me, I was just 18, to London. They hadn't seen this boy. They didn't know what England looked like. They were simple people. So we were at the airport and there were thousands of people because it was an exodus, 1968 famous exodus. And as we were about to leave those two big corridors, my father pulled me back and he put his two fingers. I don't ever remember my father hugging me. He only put his two fingers on my head. He looked in my eyes and he said, "Beta, you're going to England. I don't know Vanraj because my husband's name was Vanraj. I don't know him, but I know that people in West, they eat anything. But you promise me, I'm giving you these instructions that don't ever make your body a walking graveyard." And you know, this word, a walking graveyard, is engraved in my heart. I came in this country and I entered the household and they were not vegetarians. And the trouble I went through, but those words were echoing in my heart and in my mind. And because of that echo in my head, I constantly was thinking, okay, when will the time come that I will be able to change this person? And one day, Dwarkapuri Prabhu came to our household in 1979. And that is the day, that is the time, my promise that I promised, the promise I made to my father came true. So that is the promise I remember in my life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this very personal insight, showing us also the power of a promise.
Yeah.
And maybe we can kind of link it to spiritual master. If we can promise the spiritual master, he will give us the empowerment to actually keep the promise, right? And
yes. And we have to beg. We have to constantly beg to the Lordship, beg to spiritual master, beg to our Guru Parampara to give us the strength to keep the promise, because it's always easy to give the promise, but to keep it is a challenge. And when we go through that challenge, then Srila Prabhupada is not far. He will hold us by the hand and take us here.
Jai Mataji. That's a beautiful way to end this class with the Goloka chart in the back and our aim there, our goal. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Hope to see you soon again online or even better in person. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tomorrow's Ram Navami festival ki
Jai.
Jai. Shri
Thank you,
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Shri Radha Gokulanand ki
Jai.
Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki
Jai.
Shri Gaur Nitai ki Srila Prabhupada ki Guru Maharaj ki Samaved Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. My obeisances to you all. Thank you.
Very
Her
good.
Grace Srila Shakti Mataji ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Thank you.
Very much. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, most wonderful class. So happy to see you. We need you more often.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you so much for a wonderful class.
Thank you, beta.
Hare Krishna. Leela Shakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna.